Okay, I'm going to start. Wow, I look really young. I have a filter on my face so that it's blurring me. I could look at myself all day on Zoom, but not in the mirror here. So I just wanted to welcome everybody to this event tonight. Thank you so much for coming. This morning, we had about 14 people in the room, and now we have 60 people registered. So that's kind of amazing. I am Robin Schwartz. I'm the Community Arts Partnerships Program and Grant Director. And the Spring Rights Festival is one of our annual programs. And we also have 6 grant programs for Tompkins County artists and not-for-profits doing arts events. And Hardy Griffin, our wonderful CAP board member, is putting the link to springrights.org in the chat. There are 33 more amazing events coming up, and I hope you can come to some of them. Most are on Zoom, and most of the live ones are live streamed. So you can invite anyone you think would be interested anywhere in the world. You know, last year we had people from as far away as Tunisia. And I'm like, what time is it there? Hardy is also putting the link to our website, artspartner.org, in the chat if you want to learn about our other events, grants, and all that other wonderful stuff that we do. And he's also going to put in a donation link. And, you know, this is a free event. And like any other good not-for-profit, we must continually ask for donations. And even, you know, even a $10 donation is useful. We used to sell Spring Rights buttons for $5 each, but, you know, Zoom. And, you know, no one really wanted the buttons anyway. So thank you if you can donate to the Community Arts Partnership, because we do good stuff. That's not our official byline. Some housekeeping, please stay on mute. And please use the chat heavily for your questions and comments. It's the way we can see engagement in a Zoom event when everybody is on mute. So it's really fun to see what everyone is doing in mute. And by the way, if you are not from Tompkins County, why don't you tell us in the chat where you're from? Because that's always fun to see. By the way, bathrooms are down the hall. I'm going to send everyone who attended a Spring Rights event a survey in June. If you could fill that out, it's just going to ask you where you heard about the event, and that helps us a lot. It's only going to be like 4 questions, 4 multiple choice questions. It helps us because then we know, you know, where to spend our money and where spending the money is useful. I want to quickly thank our wonderful Spring Rights sponsors. They are Ithaca College, Wegmans, M&T Bank, CFCU Community Credit Union, the Odyssey Bookstore, and the Ithaca Marriott. We receive grant support from the New York State Council on the Arts, Poets and Writers, and Tompkins County Tourism. Our media sponsors are Ithaca Voice, WITH Radio, and WSKG. This event ends at 7, and our writers tonight are Karel Hilversum, reading poetry, Jillian Barnett, also reading poetry, Reggie Carpenter, creative nonfiction, Christopher DeWan. Did I pronounce that right? DeWan. Fiction, and Kris Haines-Sharp, also reading creative nonfiction. I'm sorry to tell Emily Sanders Hopkins fans that she could not be here tonight. And I'm so sorry, she had something else that she had to do. So we are now going to begin, and I'm going to turn the mic over to Karel Hilversum, and I'm going to spotlight you, and there you are. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Robin, and welcome all from wherever you're logging in. A quick shout out to my father-in-law, Edgardo Lopez Ferre, a wonderful poet himself and one of my mentors in poetry, and he's logging in from San Juan, Puerto Rico, which is great to see him in the list. Bienvenido, Edgardo. Well, I'm gonna start off our session. You know, I got the privilege to be the first speaker of the day. I'm gonna share my screen here in a minute and get this party started. Right, so I have 7 poems, 2 triptychs, so 3 of them are associated, and then another group of triptych, and then 1 ending song that I wrote. So hope you enjoy it. The first triptych is from a recent trip. I've been doing several trips down to the Mexico-US border in the Big Bend National Park. I'm an outdoor educator, so I do a lot of outdoor education. And I've been canoeing down the Rio Grande River for several days in a row, 4 nights and 4 days. And during those trips, I got inspired, and here's what came out of it. The first one is called Boquillas Canyon. I am the sun kissing the morning frost. I am the scream breaking through the hollow wind. I am the pain piercing the crippling knees. I am the current pushing against the shore. I am the silence in the tortoise stare. I am the curve on the river that likes to flirt. I am the bell clanking around the wild horse's neck. I am the horn ripping through your skin. I am the evening sky overwhelming the gazing eyes. I am 1,000 weary footprints left behind in the sand. I am one step of hope and one step of despair. I am the breeze sweeping away all the broken that remain. This next poem has a little video I want to show of a riverbed in the Rio Grande. So I'm going to play here for you a couple of seconds. And hopefully get you there where I was. It's interesting how the US-Mexico border looks for real in this natural state with its fluid state. Riverbed. There's a wall and a sandbank on a river that divides us. The wall is jagged, the bank curves smoothly around the bend. The river flows like time, constant, never knowing where it needs to go. Around the bend of this old and long river, there is always a surprise. The river bend with our side and their side, with a wall and a bank, like you, like me, the same. And the last one on our triptych. Oh, this one's sorry. The winds of the Rio Grande. This is literal framing here. We faced both trips. We faced 40-mile-per-hour wind headwinds going down the river, and it was very hard to navigate because it was pushing us up against the river. So the winds of the Rio Grande. On the Rio Grande, the wind demands respect. The water flows you places, but the wind decides where and when. Out of a bend in the river, across a towering cliff, the wind sneaks up on you like a jaguar to its prey. The wind will slow you down and force you to stop and see the polished stones on the riverbank, the yellow flower of the acacia tree. The wind of the Rio Grande is not as famous as the river, it seems, but only those who have felt its might know that through those canyons flows the river and the wind. And that's the closing of our first triptych. Second triptych is going to be in Spanish because I am originally from Puerto Rico. I am currently in Ithaca, so I'm an Ether Rican. That's my identity here locally. And I'm going to read them in Spanish, and hopefully some of you might enjoy them as well if you know the language. First one is called Amor, me acuerdas. Amor, me acuerdas que extraño el mar cuando me besas después de llorar. Son las resacas de ese hondo mar las que me arropan sin poder luchar. Por eso acabo siempre en tu boca, como las curvas besan las olas. Amor, me acuerdas que extraño el mar, como gaviota que enseña a volar. Tu piel que añora caricias del sol, cambia de amante y busca mi amor. Soy pez que nada dentro del coral, soy los chubascos en la noche otoñal. Salitre en la piel después de nadar. Amor, me acuerdas que extraño el mar. This triptych has to do with biographic migration experience. So ¿Cuánto? ¿Cuánto tiempo tiene que pasar para sentir que pertenezco? ¿Y cuánto para saber que ya no soy de aquel lugar? ¿Cuántas olas tienen que llegar hasta la orilla escondida para borrar las huellas pesadas que allí dejé al caminar? ¿Cuántas nevadas deben caer para arropar la nostalgia? ¿Cuántos rostros debo recordar para calzarme a sentir familiar? ¿Cuántas palabras debo olvidar para deshiervar el recao de mi boca? ¿Cuántas calles debo recorrer para perderme con naturalidad? ¿Cuántos rencores debo retener? ¿Cuánto penar debo sanar? ¿Cuántas mañanas debo despertar para poder nuevamente comenzar a amar? And the last one of that triptych is called Tres a Unos. It's called 3 to 1, so 3 of one things for one of the other. 3 a 1, receta para la felicidad. 3 sonrisas para cada llanto. 3 caricias para un cuerpo cansado. 3 alegrías para distraer un enojo. 3 victorias para olvidar la derrota. 3 héroes por cada sucio traidor. 3 memorias para calmar la nostalgia. 3 canciones para un ser solitario. 3 verdades por cada mentira. 3 sueños para borrar pesadillas. 3 amigos con quien descargar. 3 turpiales espantando un cuervo. 3 veranos derritiendo un invierno. 3 quimeras para un mundo cínico. 3 cafés para combatir la resaca. 3 amantes para un roto corazón. 3 abrazos para un largo camino. 3 rosas blancas para un viejo lamento. 3 tragos amargos para superar cobardías. 3 amaneceres para soltar el pasado. 3 tiernas miradas para abandonar la venganza. 3 palabras para escudarnos del odio. Yo te amo, yo te amo, yo te amo. And now lastly, a song that I'm not going to sing, but I could, but I'm not going to do it now. But it's actually a rock song. So it was written on January 6th. You all know what's happening on January 6th. During that time, my son was playing his electric guitar in his room. And this is what he inspired me to write. Lady Liberty weeps in hopeless despair, trampled down by a mob who's been lied to and misled. But there's a boy in a room with an electric guitar, searching for the right tune to play, and all he wants is to rock the night away. And the man with the most, amongst those who keep count, lives desperately obsessed with leaving Earth behind. But there's a boy in a room with an electric guitar, searching for the right tune to play, and all he wants is to rock the night away. In the days when we're all staying anxiously with ourselves, afraid to hug and to kiss, or whisper sweet songs in our ears. But there's a boy in a room with an electric guitar, searching for the right tune to play, and all he wants is to rock the night away. And the lessons of old are still haunting our soul. Thou shalt love each other has always been hard to learn. But there's a boy in a room with an electric guitar, searching for the right tune to play, and all he wants is to rock the night away. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you so much. That was great. Thank you. I'm so glad you did that share screen. That was great. I just realized that I forgot to put the screen behind me, and the way I had my computer before, you could see my unmade bed, which was so unprofessional. I think that's like the theme for the pandemic. It's like, make your damn bed. The next writer is Jillian Barnett, and I am going to spotlight her right now and introduce yourself and take it away.
Thank you, Robin. And thank you to everyone over at Spring Rights for all that you do. And thank you, Karel, for that wonderful reading. I really enjoyed that. That was beautiful. Especially like the pictures to go along with it. You might have to teach me how to do that. I'm grateful to be included in this evening and so honored to be reading with these lovely writers. I'm a recent transplant to the Finger Lakes from the Pittsburgh area. A poet first and then a creative nonfiction writer. My newest essay appears in the winter-spring issue of New Letters. And my chapbook, my poetry chapbook, Falling Bodies, is available from Finishing Line Press or via my website at JillianBarnettWrites.com. I'll be reading 3 poems for you this evening. All of them are from the collection Falling Bodies. This first poem originally appeared in North American Review. It's called Giraffa Camelopardalis. The first time my husband kissed me, he didn't bend. He spread his legs the way a giraffe does when it eats from acacia trees that are shorter than it is. That's what the kiss felt like, a taking in, getting of nourishment. At birth, baby giraffes fall a long way from their mothers, a cruel entrance into the world. I feel that way sometimes, taken far from my mother to live with strangers who were not of me. This was not what I was expecting. I expected her arms right away and always. There are studies. A baby can recognize a photo of her mother even if she has never seen her. A baby giraffe follows its mother within 2 hours of its birth. My husband is indulgent when I sniff him when he comes home from work. He says he finds it odd that I greet him the way animals do. I can tell what kind of day he's had, sharp and peppery for stressed, mild and musky. He laughed a lot and was among friends. My husband believes it's because I never got to smell my real family, never liked the scent of my adopted mother who doesn't smell right to me. Some people think giraffes don't have voice sounds, but the fact is they moan. They clean their young with long black tongues as if they could eat them, as if they love them that much. The second poem that I have for you this evening appeared first in the journal Nimrod. It's called Subtraction. Then I needed the ocean, its force, akin to gravity, like desire, but stronger and persistent. To stand with sand under my feet, rushing away, sweeping me backward. What used to make me unsteady, except I forgot what water does to light. Swallow, the yellow swirls gray, azure inks purple. The sky goes helpless then. You can say, woman, open, hindsight, but the wind whips the voice away, leaving a taste of salt. The last poem that I have for you originally appeared in Bellingham Review, and Bellingham Review nominated it for a Pushcart Prize. It's called Egg. My daughter pleads tenderly to her egg, but I think I see it turning its small head aside on its pillow of cardboard and cotton. 6th grade homework. Carry a hollow egg for a week. Lose points and confidence for cracking. At feeding time, she gently strokes its wounds. I want to tell her motherhood's a lie. Pure randomness, a pinprick to some essential part, something eking away even as the cells multiply. Last week, I walked Rialto Beach in fog. Miles of upended trees, roots like teeming nests of baby mussels, and the starfish bruised red, shy to my touch, curled in upon themselves, and bleached stones, smooth as eggs, I took guiltily in my pockets as the rain began, thinking if I brought them home, I might be changed. In the first months after I brought her home, I watched by her window the slow sprouting of a holly bush. Light caught in the rachis of each thorny leaf kept me there when in my head voices asked, why not just leave? But for the seed dropped by some bird, breaking eventually even the stone wall, and my insistence on who together we would be. Later, I will drive her to a new dance class to pirouette in an unfamiliar part of town, and I'll leave time to ask directions over and over of strangers whose waving arms will show me the way. She curls over the egg like the design of the mussels shell for attachment. Her fingers tug, impatient, tufting the cotton nest. If you are to do this, I want to tell her, you must get on your knees. Thank you for listening.
Oop, I forgot to unmute. Thank you, Jillian. Next, we have Reggie Carpenter. Hi, Reggie.
Hi, Robin. Thank you for having me, everybody, and thank you for coming. And I'm so moved by all of these beautiful images and sentiments. Thank you so much. So I'm going to read from my book, Where There's Smoke, There's, oh, you can't see it. Where there's smoke, there's dinner. And just want to make sure I don't go over my time. The first story I'm going to read to you is called God is Love. I like living on Mary Street, even though we're hungry sometimes, and both our parents walk out after having a fight with one another, and we don't know if they're coming back, and we have to scatter like marbles to avoid my father, who pops off like a cork after we say the rosary. I can work around those things because the yellow canary in the golden cage in the kitchen sings along to the warped records on the portable hi-fi. And the hot yeasted rolls my father makes in the winter taste so good. And the skunk mittens my mother knits me pretend to talk. And our dog Snoopy smells good. And I love my sister Mary. There are 3 bedrooms for the 7 of us. My brothers, Dave and Tim, have the back bedroom. My parents sleep in the middle, and Cindy, Mary, and I share the biggest bedroom in the front, facing the St. Lawrence River. Cindy's the eldest, so she gets preferential treatment by getting her own bed. Mary and I sleep together in the double bed next to the pink vanity and dresser. And at the end of the day, Mary and I lie in bed and talk about Barbie dolls and worms before we turn over to go to sleep. Mary sleeps like a log, but I don't. I wake up at night and watch the shadows on the wall and hear the St. Lawrence River creeping up to the shore. Some nights, every shadow is a nightmare. I wake Mary up to help me. There's something on the dresser and it's staring at me. I think it's moving. I think it's a mean clown. I whisper and tremble. Mary sits up and looks. Nah, she says, it's your teddy bear. Come here and cuddle with me. It's okay. When Mom buys the store and we move to James Street, Cindy, Mary, and I still share a bedroom. Cindy gets single bed privileges because of her seniority, so Mary and I share a bunk bed. We'll have the same dresser and pink vanity, which sits next to my Barbie dolls and trolls with a collapsible house. Mary is getting mature now, and I start to notice she's changing. She has magical powers of perception. When we play with a Ouija board, she interprets the secrets of the spirits. The spirits want you to do my chores on Saturday. They say you will get better Christmas presents if you do. Mary and I do lots of chores every Saturday morning. We change the sheets on all the beds, sweep the floors, scrub sinks, pick up dog poop from behind the couch, and fold the wrinkled laundry. We empty my father's ashtrays and clean his corncob pipes, do the dishes, and peel potatoes for supper. It takes us hours to clean the house, but we like it. The vacuum is our microphone, and we stop to rest by lolling around on the beds, messing up what we've just straightened. We catch sunlight in our cupped hands. Mary vacuums up all the spider webs in the corner of each room because I'm scared of the spiders. Some nights, I wake up thinking about the spiders. I climb up to Mary's bed and accidentally wake her up. Do you think the spiders will climb out of the vacuum hose and come and get us because we sucked up their families? I whisper. Nah, they can't climb the stairs that well, she says, and flicks back her comforter so I can climb in. Mary is smarter than me in ways I don't understand. For example, she always knows where the matching card is when we play concentration. She can see the cards even though they're turned downward and remember where they are after looking at them just once. She can remember numbers that she's heard someone say. She can do many things I can't, but there are some things she can't figure out at all. My father dishes out the mashed potatoes after the blessing. Someone spills their milk and we robotically lift our plates as Mom sops it up. My dad bellows, "Do you think milk grows on trees?" I know to keep my head down, but Mary incites him by speaking before being spoken to. She says something provocative like, "Please pass the butter." Without warning, his chair is thrown back and it hits the floor. Mary jumps up just in time to start running. They're playing a twisted game of duck, duck, goose. I shut my eyes or fall to the floor under the table next to the dog so I don't have to see what I can hear is happening. "I didn't do anything. I didn't do it," she whimpers when his hand connects to the side of her head. Smack. Why doesn't she just be quiet, I think. She should know better by now. Thwap. I am going to be perfect. I will be perfect, and then nothing bad will ever happen to me. If I am perfect, I will be safe. Eventually, Mary and I get separate rooms. Now I have privacy so I can play secretary with a long black stocking on my head and do some important science experiments like growing mold in Pepsi bottles to see if I can make an immunization that might save the world, or something else that may change the course of history. It's Sunday afternoon and Carpenter's Grocery, my family grocery store, is closed. My mom's in the tub. My dad is downstairs watching the football game. I'm in my room pouring the entire contents of a bottle of nail polish remover onto a mountain of cotton balls on my pink vanity. The nail polish remover drips down the side of the vanity and pools on the floor. How flammable is extremely flammable? I wonder as I toss a lighted match onto the mountain of cotton balls. Whoosh! Extremely flammable turns out to be exceedingly flammable. The fire rushes upward in colors of red and yellow before it finds its feet and starts running down the vanity leg and to the floor. The flames are spraying up from the floor like geysers. I step on them to put them out, but fire is such a fast runner, I can't keep up. The hairbrush on my vanity begins to melt as the flames admire themselves in the mirror. All that running makes them hungry, so they lick my walls like a kid with an ice cream cone. Black smoke billows into the air. I stand still as the fire runs up the walls, runs down to the floor, and somersaults towards my bed. Fire, fire, I scream, and then stand there completely frozen. No one comes. Fire, fire, I scream again. Cindy, the quick-thinking one in the family, runs in from the front bedroom, whips off her striped shirt, and snuffs out the flames, while my naked, dripping wet mother runs out of the bathroom, stands on the beige vinyl carpet runner in the hallway, wrings her hands, and whispers, "Oh dear, oh dear." My room looks like charred meat. The walls are seared, the floor is scorched, and the smoke is overstaying its welcome. My dad smells the fire and follows the smoke. Once he sees my room, he's hellbent on revenge. Who did it? He thunders as fire and brimstone surround him. I stand alone in my room looking at my father. I could have done so many things in that moment, like, I'm sorry, I didn't know that would happen. Or I could have said, I did it. Or I could have pulled a fake out and said, did what? I could have thrown myself upon my father's mercy. Instead, I lie. Mary did it, I say. As soon as he has exacted my confession, he turns and calls her name. She's downstairs in the kitchen making a sandwich. He goes down the stairs and I hear the zzz of his belt being pulled through his belt loops. There's the sound of chairs hitting the floor and the light steps of Mary's feet and the heavy steps of Dad's feet are playing their demented duck, duck, goose game. He catches her and I hear the smack of the belt against her bare flesh. Each time the strap hits her, I get a welt on my leg. I didn't do it. I didn't do it, she cries. I feel her 40 lashes. I am a Judas. I want to be good. I want to be perfect. I skulk slowly downstairs and face my father. My lips feel chapped and my hands are cold. I did it. She didn't do it. I'm sorry. Dad stops, belt in midair. His mouth hangs open and he lets go of Mary. She rushes off to lick her wounds. My mother tells me I'm such a good girl for telling the truth. I don't get the belt. Instead, my mother tucks me in that night. Her love and kindness are the worst punishment I could get. King Midas touches Mary's heart. She forgives me, and we go back to being best friends playing marbles on the sidewalk next to our front porch. It's a beautiful summer day. One of those clear blue sky cars whiz by, horns toot and birds squawk days. We've each got a pile of penny candy, Mary chains, fireballs, lemon drops, Tootsie Rolls, black crows, and a pouch filled with glass marbles. I like the clear ones with the ribbons of color running through the middle, and Mary likes the solid colored ones. The marbles clack against one another as the shooters and cat's eyes move position inside the circle. The circle is 3 feet wide in diameter. We each have 3 marbles in the ring, including our lucky cat's eye. The object of the game is to knock the other person's marbles out of the circle. Once you do that, their marbles are yours and you can trade them back for pieces of bubble gum or Tootsie Rolls. It's my turn. I flick my midnight blue shooter with a flecks of gold in it. Mary's shooter is Milky's white. Hers looks like day and mine the night. To shoot, I lie flat on the ground and line my eye up with the marbles. I flick the shooter off my thumb. It rolls into the circle and scatters Mary's marbles. They sound like knitting needles as they clack one against one another. One rolls out of the circle. I snatch it up and put it in my pouch. Ha ha, I taunt. Mary shoots her shooter, but only succeeds in knocking one of her own marbles out of the circle. I grab it. Finders keepers, I say. We continue flicking our shooters in the circle. As we play, the circle begins to look like the night sky and the marbles like the constellations. With each flick of a shooter, the circle on the sidewalk widens, and it's as if I am peering down a well and into the waters of the universal night sky, despite being on my sidewalk on a sunny summer day. The marbles are constantly shifting stars. Flick the shooter, see the night sky. It's Mary's turn. She flicks her solid white shooter and the marbles reposition themselves inside the circle, making Orion's belt, the Little Dipper, and Cassiopeia. The circle widens, and it's as if I am looking into the night sky at the dawning of light. Flick the shooter, see the constellations as only those in the beginning of time did. I flick my shooter, and the marbles look like the Little Dipper. Your turn, she says. Flick the shooter, understand the mystery of the universe. The marbles keep moving and shifting their positions. Horns toot, people pass by and greet us by names. I hear the whirring of bicycle tires and budding flies. She gets one of mine, I capture her lucky cat's eye. I flick my own shooter out of the circle. She catches it and hands it back to me. Try over, do again, she says. I shoot. Mary's remaining marbles scatter and roll out of the circle. I win, I shout triumphantly, lifting my eyes up to the midday sky. The sun is bright and there are no clouds. Seagulls are flying in a circle above me. The sky is so open, the sun so warm. Crickets rub their legs together, warming up for their midday dance. Flies buzz around our heads, and passing cars beep their horns in courtesy to jaywalking squirrels. People passing by greet us by name. There is a peace and stillness from the sky that floats through the air and takes up space inside of me. Just then I hear a voice say, "You are not the center of the universe." Did you say something, Mary? I asked. Nah, you're imagining things. I put all the marbles in my pouch and head into the house to gloat over my winnings. As my hand touches the doorknob, I hear the same quiet voice say, "God is love." I turn back to Mary. She's sitting alone in the dirt, picking a scab on her leg and looking into the now empty marble circle. I ask, "You want to play again? You can use my shooter this time." Thank you.
Thank you, Reggie. Is the book on your website?
Yes. It's called Where There's Smoke, There's Dinner.
Oh, that's great. I wanted to just show you that I've had this since 1966.
Oh my gosh, yes, it's in great shape.
Okay, next we're going to hear from Christopher DeWan. And here we go.
Always happens to me, these readings. I got so wrapped in the last story, I forgot that I had to read. Hi, thanks for coming. It's good seeing all your little rectangles. My name is Christopher DeWan. I'm a screenwriter and a short story writer from Los Angeles. And during this whole pandemic thing, I moved out here with my partner, who is also a writer. And she doesn't know I'm doing this, but I want to use some of my time to tell you that she has a book that just came out last week, and it's beautiful and wonderful, and it's called Zia. Is it backwards for you? It's called Zia Erases the World. It's really fantastic, and I am putting a link in the chat. I can afford to do this because the short stories that I'm reading are very short. I promised some people that I would read new work only, things that I had not read in public, but it turned out that was easier than I expected because no one has been in public. So without further ado, this first story is called Unattended. There's a delay in the airport security line because someone at the front has lost something, and it takes us a moment to understand it's their baby. Their baby is missing. They put it on the conveyor belt for a moment by accident, and when they looked up, it was gone. The baby is gone, and no one can find it. The security guards have stopped the line, and they're peering and poking inside the X-ray machine, but nothing. Some people ahead of us, other passengers, try to help in the search. The baby is nowhere to be found. The guards begin to disassemble the conveyor belt and shine flashlights through its insides into slots we all know are too small to fit a child. One guard climbs inside the machine and disappears, but comes out a moment later. The parents shout the baby's name, then start shouting at the guards, who they say allowed this to happen. We watch from the back of the line, helpless. We shake our heads and bite our lips and wonder what to do, but we're shifting from foot to foot and looking at our watches. It's sad, to be sure, and they should keep searching, but there's no sense in us missing our flights too. The guards agree because despite the wailing of the parents, they switch on the conveyor belt again and the line moves forward. We take off our shoes and belts, and as each of us walks through the metal detector, we look around, hoping maybe we will somehow discover the vanished child, even though everyone else failed. On the other side, we collect our bags, tie our shoes, reassemble, and look back one final time at the parents. From where we stand, we can barely hear them. Then we're swept into the rush, off to our gates, boarding our planes, stowing our bags, filing into our seats. We speed up the runway and take off. The missing child is still on our minds, of course. How strange, we think. What a strange thing that happened. We know life is unpredictable and sometimes malignant, but those times are so rare. They don't happen often, and they don't happen to us. And even when they do, not overly. We climb to a cruising altitude and fly above a blanket of clouds like a ship on a cotton sea. And then this second story, I mentioned I'm a screenwriter, and you may be aware that Hollywood right now is fond of superhero stories. So I took it upon myself to write a superhero story. This is called This is a Superhero Story. This is a superhero story. It's about a kid who is growing up in Hollywood. He lives alone with his mother in an apartment that was once a cheap motel. She cleans houses in Whitley Heights and gets up early and comes home tired. So he has most of his time to himself. When he was younger, he would spend his nights reading comic books, but he doesn't do that anymore. Now, after school, he wanders over to Hollywood Boulevard. He walks along the line of stars that are set in the sidewalk, pink and chipped and grimy, and labeled with names of people who used to be famous, names he doesn't recognize, names that look nothing like his own name. He passes liquor stores and stores that sell junk souvenir keychains until he arrives at that city block where everyone goes, with the old movie theaters and the shining mall, with the crowd of tourists from China and Sweden and Colorado, crowds of people clutching Sephora bags and selfie sticks, pushing their way through Grauman's Chinese and the Roosevelt Hotel and taking pictures with superheroes. People love having their picture taken with superheroes. Hollywood Boulevard is cluttered with costumed Supermen, Batman, and Spider-Men who drive in from the valley and work for tips. Tall or short, skinny or fat, brown or white, no one cares. The tourists queue up for a chance to stand next to all of them. While they do, this kid picks their pockets. He takes whatever he finds, wallets mostly and phones, sometimes sunglasses, also gum, chocolate, breath mints, condoms, cigarettes, pills, pot. Sometimes he takes car keys, even though he can't take the car. Sometimes he keeps the keys to add to his collection. And sometimes, if it's a really nice car, he drops the keys into a storm drain. But today is different. Today, the kid is going about his business like he always does, moving invisibly through the crowds. And he's already made more money than his mom will make in a week. He doesn't need to keep working, but you never really know what you're going to need. So He finds his way to where people are lined up for this one Superman, this guy who's been on the boulevard for years, for so long that he's become a kind of superhero himself, coming here day after day, wearing that stained blue suit stretched across his skinny, unmuscular body and posing for pictures, thousands of them, millions. This Superman is on cameras all over the world. This Superman's picture has traveled to places that this kid can only dream of going. And maybe it's dreaming about this that distracts the kid, because the next thing he knows, he's caught. There's a big guy with a giant hand wrapped around the kid's wrist, and he's yanking the kid all over the sidewalk and screaming. And the kid is screaming too, because it feels like the guy might tear his arm straight off. They're both screaming while the crowd of tourists stares on, and the kid can't get away, and he can't imagine how this night is going to end. Then there's Superman. Superman steps right up to the big guy, who is a whole head taller, and he explains it was an accident. It was a misunderstanding. It's all okay. Superman says, "Be cool." And the guy lets go of the kid's arm. And Superman and the kid look at each other, and the kid sees he is not alone. The kid sees there are others like him who know what he knows, that no one is going to inherit a bat cave, and no one is going to get bitten by a radioactive spider. And the only way to become a superhero in this villainous world is to turn yourself into one. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Christopher. Make sure all the readers look at the chat, because there's a lot of comments for you in the chat. By the way, if anyone wants to stick around after the next reader and, put some questions in the chat for some of the people that are here, that would be great. Our next reader is Kris Haines-Sharp. There you go.
Hi, everyone. My name is Kris Haines-Sharp, and I'm really grateful to be here. I have a few thank yous to go behind this piece that I wrote. One for my mother, and this piece is about her. And my daughter, who turned me into a mother 23 years ago today. So it's her birthday. Happy birthday, Emma. And my sister, she's also in this story, and Jill, my first reader, and my wife. So this piece is called, it's a fresh piece. I wrote it a few weeks ago. And if I was David Sedaris, I would be editing as I'm reading, but I'm not David Sedaris. And we are laughing together. I sit at my desk and stare out the window, skies of slate, puddles vibrating with raindrops, mid-afternoon, and the day feels as long as my spirit feels heavy. Each day, moments of grief, as I watch my mother struggle with the loss of memory. Moments of seeing her joy are fleeting and poignant, like a ray of sunshine on a splash of water. This is not the essay I want to write. A couple of weeks ago, my almost 83-year-old father, a once upon a time minister, packed a white Speedo and flew to Florida for beach and sun and snorkeling. He traveled with my brother-in-law, a quickly but thoroughly planned trip, a break from the constant, ever-present challenges of caring for his wife of 58 years, my mother. My younger sister and I made a plan to stay at my parents' home to keep my mother's routine and environment familiar. On day 3, my first day with Mom, Kim gave shift report as she and I switched places. They had seen turtles crawling over mossy rock in an indoor botanic garden, taken walks in the neighborhood, arms linked, cane in Mom's left and her dog leash in Kim's right. Stories told, repeated over and over. I tried to listen and laugh just like my sister does. The two of them have a language of their own, heads shifting to the side as they banter. I am the mango lady, Mom says again and again as she describes the store where she used to shop for mangoes and chutneys and basmati rice from Dehradun, remembering the tastes of her childhood in India. He says, I know you, Mango Lady. And the two chuckle themselves into laughter. After the handoff, my mother comes to my house and she, so she tells me, has a so horrible time. This is not the essay I want to write. I felt smothered by the prospect of her home's still, warm air, the fold-out couch spreading the length and width of the tiny guest room, the inconvenience of it. I won't get my morning coffee, I said to my wife, anticipating my 3 nights at my parents' home. Just enjoy her, she said. On my terms, I thought. So I asked Mom if she wanted to stay the night at the Yates Street Hotel, what I jokingly called our house on Yates Street. This is not the essay I wish I was writing. We gather her things, a round brush. My sister has showed her how to use it instead of hairspray, a pink flannel nightgown, a toothbrush, a down feather pillow, and all her makings for her breakfast muesli. I place all of it in a white plastic laundry basket, grab the dog who's been sitting patiently in his crate, and off we go to my house. I don't pause. I don't stop to think I've given her no real choice but to come with me. I am, after all, so cheery. This will be fun, I say. Dad has his vacation, and now you are getting yours. She'll see. I can be fun too. Damn this essay. I show her the route to the bathroom, even though she's been in our home many times over the years. Don't go down the stairs, Mom, just keep walking, I say, convincing myself that the instructions will keep her from wandering down the stairs and out the front door, or worse yet, falling down the stairs. We tuck Oreo, her black and white, slightly rotund Shih Tzu, into a crate we've assembled in our bedroom, recently vacated by my stepson. This vacancy is not to last long, but I don't know this, which is a mercy, really, as Change and I have a volatile relationship. I turn on a space heater and give her the large eider down. She's always cold. Her 90-pound frame doesn't retain warmth. You can wake me up for anything, I say, knowing and not knowing this isn't likely to happen. I sleep deeply, unusual for me. Bringing my morning coffee, my wife tells me that Mom's light is already on. I haven't taken more than a sip when in walks Mom right into the bedroom, and she is angry. You take me home right now. Wait, I think. I don't know who you are or why you've kidnapped me, but take me home right now. She walks to the bed and sits down. I try to put an arm around her, but she's having nothing of it and shrugs me off. Who are you? Why do you have me here? Mom, I'm Kris, your daughter. You're at my house, I say. You are not, and why am I here? Her eyes wide and hard. I've been kidnapped, she says, almost shouting with certitude and bravery. This essay. What happens next is surreal, foreign, and the hours pass in a succession of endless moments. My mother has no idea who I am and where she is, her mind colonized by a merciless disease. She has woken up in my home, under my care, and is now a person who is not my mother. I want to undo the past 12 hours. I want my mother back. If only I could tell my mother about this angry stranger who is not my mother, but is glaring at me as though she knows me. My mom would know what to do. This. Who are you? I'm your daughter. You are not, looking at me with a disbelief that feels like scorn. She'd never do this to me. I am your daughter. You gave birth to me in Jordan. What? What are you saying? I knew he had another family. He doesn't have another wife, Mom. He doesn't. I knew it. You look just like him. Knew it all these years, she said, convinced I've just admitted to a sordid past of being both my father's other wife and his other daughter. The next few days pass, and my mother has no idea who I am. She does know my sister, who takes over the nighttime duties. I am paralyzed by regret. I've forced a change on her, the very thing I struggle with when it happens to me. I'm 3 and refusing to curtsy to the headmistress at Talita Kumi preschool. I'm 9 and asserting that the tuna noodle casserole is the same meal we always have for guests. So why is this a special meal? I'm 12 and refusing to be friendly to the kids playing kick the can outside the front door. I'm 14 and church is dumb and my mother doesn't talk to me for days. I apologize without ceasing. Mom, please just look at me. I'm 25. No, I don't want to ever have children, so stop pestering me for a granddaughter. I'm 42 and have fallen in love with a woman. There's no recovering. I couldn't be the daughter she needed. I can't even take care of my mother for a night without losing her. We think we've lost her forever. The reappearance of my father back from his 5-day vacation sends her to her bedroom in terror, the door locking the one forever faithful out. She prays to her parents' wedding picture, a portal to the past. It is perched on a stand before her on the dining room table. Her body rocks and she murmurs in Hindi, the language of her misshapen youth. Mother, the only word I understand. I'm sorry I lost you. Please come back. She does, in bits and pieces of her old self, inhibitions and conventions falling to the wayside of forgotten memories. At her core, all mother. Who are you again? Your daughter, I say. Ah, yes, you know I have 2 wonderful daughters. They live nearby. Yes, they do, I say. They take really good care of me, she says. I burst into laughter and my mother joins. We are laughing together, a language of our own. Thank you.
Thank you. That was amazing. I'm going to stop the recording. Bye, everyone who's watching this taped.